Hi, Tore. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. And you?
I'm perfect. It's
A
a
bit
great
tired after a
day.
long day, I guess.
I will understand that I am tired tomorrow, but today I'm on adrenaline.
That's good.
So let's start.
Yeah, I'll start by sharing my screen. You can let me know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's a nice little picture of me there, and then an introduction. So I'll just begin. You put in the Slack channel, there's a download link from a Google Drive. I'll put that link in the end of my session as well.
And also
But the
let's put this link into
in
Zoom
the
chat.
yeah, could you do that
Yes.
if you have it from the from the Slack? Just put it in there.
Okay.
Because what I will be doing in the next 1.5 hours is I'm going to talk a lot about me in the beginning for just a few minutes, just an introduction. Then I'm going to talk about visual best practice, not just I'm using Tableau when I'm showing stuff, but this is general what is good and what is bad when it comes to visual best practice. What should you consider? What should you think about when you're visualizing some data? What type of charts is good for what type of data and so forth. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on in the beginning. Talk about guideline analytics, how to go from navigating from something aggregated, maybe a map, into some details. I'll show you some examples of something that's good, something that's bad. And then there will be, for those of you who have Tableau installed, then we can do some hands-on exercises, creating some dashboards and trying to do something, creating something that is good or looks good as well. So the link that is in the chat now, that is to Google Drive, where I'm just going to open up my or I can show you the Google Drive as well if I haven't closed it. No, it's there. So the idea for this folder, if I move it over to my screen, you will find my presentation in there in PDF format, so you can have a look at that afterwards. But there is two PDFs for two different exercises. So that's the detailed instructions on how to build those different visualizations. There's also a starter Tableau workbook and a solution workbook. So if you don't manage to finish or you get stuck, obviously you can help ask from me for help during the when you're doing the hands-on stuff, but those will be then available for you to download. So hopefully you can do that now. And if you don't have Tableau installed and you would like to do that in the background while I do my first introduction and everything, you can go to, I'll just open up this one as well, so I can put that into the chat window where you can go to tableau.com and download Tableau Desktop. And then you will get a 2-week free trial of using Tableau Desktop. So I'll put that in the chat as well. So if you don't have it installed and you would like to try to get your hands dirty to build some dashboards in Tableau, then you will be doing that in less than an hour. So back to my presentation, I'm using Tableau. I don't like to use PowerPoint to show stuff, especially because then you can get some more interactivity into your presentation as well. So just quickly about me, my name is Tore Levinsen. I come from Norway. I live on the west coast in a city called Bergen. My title is a Tableau Jedi. I've been working with Tableau since, Tableau was in version 7, so since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So getting close to 12 years working with Tableau. I have a history with working a lot with Microsoft reporting services and SSRS and stuff like that. Tableau at the time, Microsoft at the time didn't have any good reporting or hands-on self-service tools. There was some report builder coming up, but at that time I was trying to solve something at the client who I couldn't with SAP, Microsoft, any of the tools I had available at my current employer. then my boss at the time told me to download something called Tableau, Excel on speed, he called it. And I did. I installed Tableau, connected to the data, and then 15 minutes later, I've managed to build a dual axis chart that the customer required. So I fell in love with Tableau and have been working with Tableau as a consultant, advisor, and trainer over the last 12 years. That also led me to become the leader of the Tableau user group Norway, which I've been hosting since 2018, together with some other people as well. And I'm a 2 times Tableau ambassador. So that's an honor you get from the Tableau community to for me help other people be sufficient or successful when it comes to Tableau user groups throughout the world. So not only helping other people to build and scale their user groups, but also to assist and talk at other people's user group throughout the world, which I love. So the Google Drive link, I can put it in there again. It should be in the chat, but let's put it in like this. Hopefully that should work. There will be also a link in the end of my presentation or a QR code you can use. So I work for a company in Norway called Inmeta Consulting. So we are a Tableau partner. We do everything that is related to data platform, but my focus is mainly then on Tableau. And there's more than enough business and more than enough to do when it comes to Tableau. But over the years, I've seen that when working with Tableau, Power BI, Click, all these self-service tools, it's very easy to just drag and drop and build something. And you add too many colors, you add too much animation, or you add the wrong chart for the wrong data that you're trying to present. So the visual analytics part, or the visual best practice, that's something that I really love and have realized that there's a difference between, as you've probably seen yesterday when Andy Cotgrave and others talked about the difference between art and an actual business dashboard. So I've realized, and I've deleted a lot of old stuff, or I see stuff that I made 10 years ago. It's like, ooh, why did I even do that? But you learn. That's the nice process of working with tools like this. You basically learn to be a better dashboard builder. You learn to be a better data scientist or and analytics. To work with analytics at least. So this Inmeta company, we are all over the world, in Norway at least. So this is where I are located, west coast of Norway, which is way more north than any other country in the Nordics. I always think that when going to the UK, it's just to the east, but it's actually way further down south. And looking outside the window today, it's 0 degrees and it's more or less a hailstorm. So really beautiful weather to be inside and be here together with you guys. So this is some of the people I've trained over the years. Well, not the people, but the locations and the numbers. So I've trained over 3,000 people in Tableau, which I really love. So fortunately, there was no trip to Istanbul to do this this conference, but maybe next year again. So live from Bergen. So when we talk about the visual analytics, the best practice, I'm just going to briefly mention a bit on Tableau. Tableau has been there now for 20 years. There was just this on LinkedIn that they had a 20-year anniversary since it was started or founded. Really interesting and fun to see that they have had the same vision since the beginning, which is to help people see and understand data. And that's also where the visual analytics bit come in. It's really important to show data in a way that people understand and don't get the wrong impression of the data. And the portfolio of Tableau is basically is the desktop, which I will be using now, and also show you some how to build stuff if you would like to do that in this session. And the workflow for any tool basically is to start on the left-hand side to connect to some data. When you have connected, then in the desktop, unless you need to fix and prep and clean your data with Prep Builder or any other ETL tool, then you do an ad hoc analysis, or you create dashboard that you will like to share with someone else. So you connect, you analyze, and then you share it, publish it on Tableau server that you have on premise or in the cloud, or even publish it on the Tableau public. And Tableau public is a great resource for finding dashboards, finding data, finding inspiration on how to build stuff. I'll put in a link for that later on as well. So going back when I started with working with data in general, it's basically the 4-year-old data warehouse projects where you had a bunch of consultants and the customer had a lot of people. We started analyzing, figuring out what should we solve. We connected and created a huge bunch of ETL jobs, and then we built a data warehouse and data lakes, and there was so many things that needed to be solved. And then in year 3.5, you had some reports, some static reports, maybe with a lot of filters, and there was no interactivity more than you could filter on maybe some period, some periods or product groups and stuff like that. Not very visual, not very interactive. So that has changed quite a lot when tools like Tableau, Power BI, Click came to the market and paved way for this so-called self-service BI or business intelligence. But also then the cycle of or the path of how do you do visual analytics. It's not a path going from A to well, or in Norway, but set in the English language, because you need to have something that you need to solve. So you have a question that you need to get solved. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, you need to find the data. When you have the data, you connect, you maybe fix the data, or you see that you lack some data. Then you start building something. You create some charts or get some insight, and then realize, well, this is answer something, but it generates a whole set of new questions that you would like to have answered. And then you continue, maybe you get some new data, you go back and forth, you build different type of visualizations, get different type of insight, and hopefully you will develop some insight that you or the business can use based on the data or on the dashboards that you're building. So it's a cycle going a bit back and forth. And I think one of the biggest problems sometimes is that sometimes you have to let go. Okay, now I've built everything. I have a data flow. I have data updated automatically every weekday at 9 o'clock. There's a beautiful dashboard that gives you a lot of KPIs, a lot of insight. It's interactive. People get answers to 80% of their questions. And then, well, there's some formatting here. I should add some borders. I should add or just some colors and so on. You could go on forever and never be happy. So one day you need to let it go, move on to the next. And obviously you can come back later on if there's new business needs or new questions that needs to be answered, and then try to adjust and adapt and change this. So by the end of this, the next, I guess, 25 minutes or so, why are we using visual analytics? How do we take into consideration the human perception and cognition, because the seeing is fast, thinking is slow, and then the dashboard best practices with some examples, and then we'll do the hands-on session after that. So we're gonna first start with a little fun game. Some of you that probably have attended maybe a Tableau seminar or webinar earlier have seen something similar. But I'm now going to change to a random number between 1 and 10, not number 5. And then you can put in the chat how many of that number do you see. And I'm not trying to trick you, so don't count the number that I'm selecting in here, or the number that's on the top. That's what you see on Facebook, where everybody is answering, and then, oh, you forgot this number. So just look inside this triangle or inside this table. How many nines do you see? So if you now start to count, when you have the number that you find, the number of nines, you can put it in the chat. And I'll take a sip of water while I'm waiting. So we have one suggestion coming. I don't know myself, so it's going to be exciting. So it's ranging now from 5 to 10, 6, 11, 12. This is a fun activity because, well, we have two 10s, two 11s now, and then we have a bunch of, well, quite big variation, and also a 7. So I'm going to help you a bit. First of all, you can also think about how long time did it take you to come with your number between whatever you had, 5 till 12, and how certain are you? If you would put in like a percentage, you wouldn't say that I'm 100, or some of you might be 100% certain how many there are. But when it comes to, if I now add, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to add color to the nines, and I'm going to add size to the nines. If you now, yeah, we could ask the clever chat GPT, but now I've added the color and size. If you count again, see if it goes a bit faster, and let's see there. There's a lot of 12s now. So everyone who had 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, maybe somebody who was just really fast, like gunslinger in the West, just shooting out number 5 or 7 because they wanted to be first. But now there's at least 4 people who say 12. And the whole point of using these pre-attentive attributes that I've started now with adding a color and a size, because what is the question here? Well, the question is, how many nines do you see? And if that is the question, why don't we just help our users, our consumers, to say, well, there are 12 number 9s in the grid, as Charles and Mandy and Gory also said. And some of you also said that in the beginning, but it took you quite some time to count those and make sure, was it 8 or 9, or how was I counting? So if we can, as developers or dashboard builders, if we are going to answer a question that the business are asking, why don't we help them? Why don't we use everything we can in our power and in our toolbox when it comes to pre-attentive attributes, color, size, length, and so on, then do that. So it's way easier. And is that built into Tableau? Well, these coloring, sizing, and everything is stuff that you can do in Tableau. I'll show you when we move on a bit here as well. So what is visual analytics? Andy Kirk, a great person when it comes to visual analytics, has said that it's the representation and presentation of data that exploits our visual perception abilities in order to amplify cognition. A lot of fancy words in there, Andy, but the idea is to use what our brain knows, our short-term memory. If we see something that has a size or has a shape or has a color, then it's so much easier for our brain to interpret and understand what we're looking at, instead of thinking, going back and forth to a color legend or a size legend, and then try to understand what's in there. So another example, a very simple table with some categories in here: bookcases, binders, rubber bands, and so on. And it's split by customer segments. We have consumer, corporate, and so on. So the question could be in here: what is the combination of customer segment and category that has the lowest or the most negative sales, if this is profits, for example? So if we start looking at the table, we have 4 rows of data, and we have probably 15 plus categories. So there's a lot of numbers that we have to scan through. We can start on top and see -4, then we have -9, go down here, -6, -16. Okay, we didn't have anything bigger. You might have to go back and check again. So it is a bit difficult to find this data. So we can make it a bit easier. We can add colors to all the negative numbers, for example. So what is important for our business, it's not to lose money, at least. So if we then get the highlighted, the negative ones, we can see which categories, customer segments are negative, and then we can try to find the biggest or smallest. Or we can even add some other pre-attentive attributes where we're using size and orientation. So we are both highlighting the ones that are negative in red on the left-hand side of the axis, and we have the numbers in there, and we see that, well, office machines in consumer, those are the ones that are the least profitable ones. So highlight the thing that are important. If you highlight everything that's positive, then what is important? Well, everything that's positive is good, but obviously selling or having a profit of 51,000 or 53,000 is way better than 484. So by using all these different pre-attentive attributes, makes it way easier for our brain to see what's going on instead of thinking and trying to figure out what am I actually looking at and how does this work. So those pre-attentive attributes that I've been mentioning now several times, these are the ones that are really important when you're building a visualization, a dashboard, or just one chart, so that the user actually understand what they're looking at. So to take the benefit out of these and make sure that the consumer understands really fast what is actually this data trying to tell me, instead of they have to think and put up a calculator to calculate the percentages or figuring out which one is best or which one is worst. So all of these, orientation, length, width, and so on, those are the pre-attentive attributes that are really important to take into consideration when you're building stuff. And for example, in Tableau and other tools, obviously, we have color. You can change the color. You can have different type of colors. You can have adjust the size, the bigger, the better, for example. You can have shapes, and then probably shapes that not only are squares and pluses, but if you are looking at apples and oranges or bananas, why don't you have a shape of bananas and oranges? People immediately understand what they're looking at. Even you can even have a yellow banana, so people don't have to think or have to interact to understand what they're looking at. So the memory limits, that's something when you have to think. The problem is we have to, I mean, if you go to the grocery store and you don't have a shopping list, so if I have 7 things I need to go to the shopping to the shop to buy, and I don't have a shopping list, I most likely will end up coming home with maximum 4 of those 7 things and 2-3 other things that was not on the list. If I have a list, then it's not a big problem. And I think men are a bit worse than women there to do the multitasking and everything. I never come home with what I've been told, and I haven't written down, at least. So to leverage this memory limits, just looking at the simple table again, we have some cities, we have the total value, and we have 4 years. So 4 cities times 4 years is 20 numbers. And if the question is, have we gained or lost customers over the last 4 years? Well, we can look at the total, so that is a bit helpful. We started with 1,500, ended up with almost 1,800. So we have gained customers. But which city has grown the fastest? Or have we lost customers in any of the cities? Then we have to go through all the numbers, do some internal math in our head and see, does it go up, does it go down? That's where I'm not saying this is the best visually appealing line chart, but by just adding this in a line chart, we can very easily, because of the positioning and the length, see if it goes up, if it goes down. And now we see that New York did go down in 2012. It was actually less than we even had in 2009. So this one is 4 lines instead of having 20 different numbers to calculate. So go from numbers to patterns makes life a lot easier for our end users. Now we're going to do a fun game again, a very quick one, because something called visual interruptions makes people slow. And why? I'll tell you afterwards, but I'm going to now switch this picture with the same picture, but I'm going to put a gray screen in between. So I'm going to go back and forth many times. when you see what is missing or what is added to this picture, could you give me a thumbs up or found it or something in the chat? So I'll do this for 20 seconds or so. Does it look like the picture is changing? Andy has found it. We have some thumbs up. I'll give it 5 more seconds. I've seen it before, so I remember where it is. Okay, so some of you got the thumbs up, some of you said you found it, and the rest of you either didn't find it or didn't bother to put the thumbs up, which is also fine. The point here is that if we look at this nice little picture, and as soon as I do this, it's basically as your brain is restarted. And when I go to this one, your brain says, oh, this is a new picture. I haven't seen this one before, so have a look at it. Oh, it's nice. There's a barn and there's some leaves. But if you pay attention to this area over here, there's a nice little sky, blue sky. If I go over to this one, now suddenly there is a big leaf over here. If I go back again, it's gone in this here. So if I now go back and forth, you can't unsee it basically, because now your brain knows about it. So why do I show you this? The point is, when people are building dashboards, if they are really long, so bigger than the screen, or like Andy Cotgrave showed yesterday when he also asked, is this a dashboard or not, when we had to scroll down many pages like we do every day on our mobile phones or even on our laptops. Or the point is, if we are looking at something up there that is connected to something way down there, our brain doesn't remember what we have been looking at, so we don't see the correlation. Or if we do filtering, we filter something and the axes are changing or the values are adjusting, we can't remember what we just looked at because our brain is kind of restarting. So that's also something to consider. When it comes to how does the humans, so the human brain, like the data or our data, well, we have different type of data. We have qualitative data, nominal data, where we have like a name of a city, name of a person, and we have different type of beer. Difficult to organize it, perhaps. Well, maybe some people like Coors better than Stella Artois or Bud Light, but there's no, it's not that easy to organize this one. Then you have qualitative, when you have ordinal data, where we have gold, silver, or bronze. For me, coming from Norway these days, there's the World Cup in biathlon and the downhill skiing, and Norway is doing pretty good. But if you end up on 4th place, you don't get a bronze medal or a medal at all, you're really frustrated. So bronze is way better than 4th place, silver is way better than bronze, and gold is obviously the best. So, and then also you have things like you love it, you like it, you hate it. If you have a survey or you go visit a restaurant, you can say that it's perfect, a big smiley face or not. So it's, you can rank this and put it in a different order. But how much better is gold than silver, or how much better is love it than like it? It's difficult to put a number on it. And then you have quantitative numbers or quantitative data. So if you have weights, 10, 20, 30 kilos, you know that 20 kilos is twice as much as 10, and so on. If it costs something, if you give a discount, you can always do some math and figure out how much bigger or how much less is number other than others. So depending on when we have these different data, the qualitative, nominal, ordinal, or quantitative, how do we use these pre-attentive attributes? Well, when it comes to qualitative ones, we can use position. We can position it on the screen. We can use shape. So this bear versus this bear, we have a logo, so we can have that as a shape, for example, or we can use the hue of the color. Those are the best way of visualize that type of data. When it comes to ordinal, we can position them again. First, second, third place, we can size it. So first place is bigger than second place, third place, and so on. I like it with a big heart. I hate it with a very small heart or something else, an X. So we can use also those shapes over there. And then the color intensity is better than the color hue. Those ones are in gray, so those are okay, but not the best ones. And then when it comes to quantitative ones, once again, positioning, we can sort something, we can do a ranking, we can look at the length of the bar. The 30 kilo is larger or longer than the length of 20 and 10. Same with size. If we use bubbles, the bigger the bubble, the bigger the value. And you can also sometimes use intensity for color. So what is more important, what is less important, that also comes to how we see and understand the data when we have it in front of us. So position is more important than color, than size, than shape. Shapes could be quite confusing if you have too many of them. Color, if you have too many, I mean, everything is problematic if you have too much of anything. So always use with caution. That's the that's the easiest rule, basically. Orientation is something that's quite simple to fix, but people don't often think about it. I can zoom in a bit here as well because these ones were a bit small. But you see that this one, where you have to tilt your head to read the years, you have to tilt your head to read the position, player, and everything. So you have to do like this, and then you end up going to the chiropractor for 2 weeks because you have read those bad setup of your visualizations at work. So why don't we just switch the axis? We have it over here, so you don't need to have vertical bars. You can have horizontal bars. You still get exactly the same comparison, and it's way easier to read everything because it's horizontal. We don't have to bend our neck. So that's always better than having it vertical. Well, always. That's a strong statement. It's very much often more better. When it comes to time, looking at data on the x-axis to see the change fluctuation over time. When we're comparing values, a bar chart is always brilliant. You can use a pie chart or a tree map, but you have to be careful if you have too many values or too many colors. Relationships, scatter plot is excellent to do that. When it comes to relative proportions, parts of the whole, tree map or pie charts, as I mentioned. But there's also some limitations to those because pie charts and tree maps, you can't show negative values, for example. That wouldn't be a problem with a bar chart because then it will just end up on the left-hand side of the axis. And how do we not like our data? Well, anything in 3D, anything that is exploding pie charts, it's not very nice. And by default, you can't build them in Tableau either, but you can if you really hack it and do some bad stuff. It's not recommended. Looking at this, we think that, or assume at least, that India is biggest. It looks like it as well, 29%. Others is 1, if you can try to find it in the back there. Africa, Middle East 9, and then America's 11. But how is 11? The size of this slice is way bigger than just the 2 percentage points. China, since it's lower, is it then bigger or smaller than America's? Well, it's bigger because we have 13%. And then Asia, Oceania, which is very thin, but wide, but how wide is it? So this is really difficult to read and understand. So, okay, bar charts might be boring to look at, especially if we have many of them, but it's the easiest, the best way of seeing and understanding data because you have, well, it's horizontal, so it's easy to read the different countries. You have a bar, you have an axis here. You can see which one is biggest, which one is number 2, 3, and also you can compare them to each other. And this was from the beginning of COVID period, where you might recognize Mr. Trump, that were trying to show the increase of cases per 100,000 for all states. And you can obviously zoom in, but you look at if you look at the colors in here, there's then so many colors that, and the colors are so similar. So how the only thing you can see is this one, but I'm not sure that which color is this blue. Is it, which one of these is it? Because there's no labels, there's no interactivity, and also this is a nice angle because I haven't found the original picture that was published when he was pointing to this, explaining it, and he was covering the entire visualization. So maybe not the best advocate for how people like their data. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of dashboards and visualizations from the bad perspective, and then to the better. The one is from a customer I work with, the Directory of Fisheries in Norway. So they're responsible for all the fish in the sea, and then we have different countries coming over, and they're allowed to fish, so we can check if they're doing it properly. So they came from using a lot of tables in Excel and sitting in Oracle and writing SQLs. So the original view with 12 million rows of data was basically the year, the country, the name of the fish, fishing boat, name of the type of fish, and a lot of numbers. So basically, they thought that when I'm going to recreate something that was in Excel, I need to have all my data in the view, and I need to have all the filters that are available. And then whenever they open it, it took forever because it had to load all the data. And then they do one change in one filter, and then all the other filters needs to be updated, and then they can go get a cup of coffee, take lunch, come back again, and then they can do the next filter. So obviously nobody bothered to look at this. There's in this view, it's 10 million, no, how much is it? 1 million rows of data and 6 million dots or data points. So we talked about what is guided analytics. How should you use a tool like Tableau? How should you use tools that are meant to help you see and understand data? Well, let's change the entrance, or how should we actually build this? So unfortunately, this is in Norwegian, but I'll explain how it works. So first of all, there's a title, there's a source. Where does the data come from? When was the data updated? That's always a no-brainer to have that in your data, especially if it's updated in like every day, every morning at 9 or whatever. But because people tend to like to ask, okay, I'm missing some data, when was it updated? There's also some tips over here. So just hover over and then you get an instruction on how to use the dashboard. That's also helpful, and that it doesn't cover the entire screen. So how were they supposed to use this? Well, there were people responsible for certain regions in Norway that would like to figure out how much fish has been delivered, of which type, and how many vessels and tons and all that stuff. So if they click on any region in here, you see that on the right-hand side, the table is updated or filtered, split between Norwegian in blue and foreign vessels. So up in north, there's way more foreign vessels that are delivering fish than a bit further south. The length of the bar is how many tons have been delivered. So if I'm then interested in 2016, now something should have happened, so I didn't. So I'm just going to go to the well, it will work, but it doesn't work in story mode. So I'll go to this one. It drills down to the next detail level. This is the first table we're seeing. So instead of having 12 million rows of data, in the map I have 5 regions. So that's basically 5 rows of data that are aggregated. So we see that Norway is 85%, Lithuania is 0.1, we have Denmark with 1.1, and we have Russia with 6.2, for example. If I'm then interested in the Russian, not consumption, but fish they have delivered, I drill down the title is updated with the year, with the nationality, and now I'm looking at the major species. So codfish on top, and then other deep level fish down here. Number of unique number of landings, vessels, tons, and value. And if I'm interested in cod, I get cod and then the other type of fish, which I unfortunately don't know in English, but there are other type of codfish. And this is basically the same as the original one, but drilling down by doing step by step. And you saw that it doesn't, there's no circle waiting for me to go further in the different levels, because I'm still working on 12 million rows of data, which is not big data, but it's more than you can fit in an Excel, but it doesn't take any time. And then you can go back, start over again, and you're doing this as a guided analytics. Start from the aggregated data, visually nice looking with the map, and then drill down to the different detail. So after they switched from this one that people just cursed and left or threw the mouse in the wall and never used because it was so slow, to this one, we saw a huge increase in the usage of this dashboard, but also there was a lot more questions. And yes, this was fantastic, but I would also like to see this, and this. And then we added, or the customer added more and more features in the same dashboard. Another example is, this is from the Superstore data set again, where people have just get Tableau in their hands, and then, well, I need to build a map, obviously. I need to add everything that I can in here, all my products and product categories. And then you see there's some coloring going on in here. What is it actually? Well, it's different countries have different colors. Down here, we have all our customers in a scatter plot to see the correlation between sales and profit. We have all our orders in here. Why the beep do we want to see all our orders in an overall dashboard? We might want to drill down to those details, but we don't want to see them when we load it, and also it normally takes a lot longer time. Over here, we also have some countries split into year-over-year change, but you see that the colors over here, that's the customer names. Over here is the countries. So is there a correlation? Do all the blue customers come from Belgium? No, they don't. So there's no, they're using the same color to indicate different things. That's one of the most common things I see when I do training, or if I go in and try to analyze and look at what people have done. So normally, if you see a dashboard, it should take you 1 to 5 seconds to see and understand what you're looking at. And then there should be some instructions or how to use this one. Whenever there's a map, I always click, and well, you can click in here. So it's highlighting somewhere at least, but it doesn't do very much more. So how can we improve this? Do we need to look at everything at the same time? Do we need to have a bunch of colors? Not necessarily, but we need to have some instructions. What are we actually looking at? How to use the dashboard. Do we need to look at the sales and the profit and the revenue and everything at the same time? No, we don't. We can drill through and look at different options, and the data is updated in our view. We can have some KPIs on the top, the big ass numbers. So we know that we have how much sales, how many customers, and so on. And you see over here, we still have the map, but now it says sales across countries. Please, not please, but it could say, please click on a country or countries to filter. So if I click on something in the map, it's filtering in the map as well, and it's interactive. You don't see all the data at the same time. It also says click on subcategory to filter the metric. So if I go to the chairs or even tables we see that are unprofitable, I can drill down to my details. I'm just going to go out of the out of this view again, so I don't see the story mode. So if I would like to find out more about what customers are making my company bleed or be in the red, Then I go into the product and customer analysis, similar to the scatter plot we had before, but there's a trend line. And when I hover over any of these different details, we have this tooltip that gets you all the detail that you need about any customer. With KPIs, there's a waterfall chart to see where do we lose money and in which country and so on. So this one makes it way more interactive, way much faster, and way more easy to see and understand the data. And the last example I have in here is from Andy Cotgrave, actually, that you probably, some of you saw yesterday. One of the men behind the big book of dashboards. So this one, the original one that was made, I think, early in his career in Tableau. I've been a partner with Tableau since 12 years, and Andy was a normal layman person in Tableau at that time. Now he's a evangelist, so he also have learned his ways around Tableau and visual analytics. So this is looking at fewer people are dying on the US roads, but there are some seasonal trends. You see this spaghetti chart on the left-hand side. It's awful. There's way too many colors. There's some stuff happening in here, but there's no correlation to what we're looking at and the colors, for example. So this one has been updated a bit, as you can see in here. Still the same text and everything, but it's saying over here, because each and every of these lines are showing 1 year between 1969 and 2011. So we see that in 2009, the fatalities were way less in general from January to December. In 1980, it was really bad. And this thick line, that's the average for all those years. If we would have just looked at the one all the way on the right-hand side, we see that it goes a bit up. Then it was seatbelt law, so it goes a bit down, goes a bit up and down again. But we can't really see, first of all, which months are the worst or which dates are the worst. So in this one, we see that it's the seasonal trends when it comes to August. When it comes to September, it's way worse. But then if you look at this one in the middle, this heat map, where we are actually coloring the ones that have the highest value versus the ones that have the lowest value. 4th of July, they are celebrating fireworks, they're drinking, and unfortunately driving, and they're dying on the 4th of July, even the day before. Also around Christmas and 1st of January. But in January, February, March, it's quite optimistic or positive over all these years, because it's not that many. I mean, 2,700 is way too many, but not compared to 5,000 that we have over there. But we see that the holidays are getting safer. It's getting better over the years. And also using the red color in here. Red is not good often. It's used for, and we're looking at people who are dying. So having the green versus the red, I think the red is better. So before I share the link again for the exercises and the hands-on, is there any questions about what I've talked about? Is there any input, any feedback? Then this is the time to do that. We've been going on for close to 15 minutes. So I'll leave it open if there's anybody who would like to say something or ask a question in the chat. If not, then this is the same link as you have gotten in the chat as well, where you can download the stuff that I mentioned, or the workbooks and everything. That looks like this. So if you download that exercise 1, I can open it up as well. It's basically a PDF where you have instructions on how to use it. You're going to open up that sorry, that first workbook that is called Visual Analytics Exercise 1. I'll show you how it looks like when I have opened it as well. I don't get the link. So if you use the QR code, if that doesn't work, go to the chat in here. I'm just going to post it again because it's a bit higher up in the chat. It should be in here. So if you click on that one, hopefully it should be open and available for download, everything that's in there. And then we will end up with something like this in the first exercise. This is creating a global COVID-19 tracker from data from January 2020 till January 2022. And how do we do this? Well, we need to create some visualizations. We need to do some stuff in there. And that's what's in when you open up that starter workbook. It looks like this. There's an empty dashboard over here where there's nothing. And then there's just a title and a couple of sheets that have already been created. But instruction says create a new sheet. And you have the data set on the left-hand side where you need to start building. But since we've been going on now for 50 minutes, I think we should take maybe a 10-minute break so people are able to download and get everything up and running. No, sorry, no, I'm not doing 2 hours. Sorry, so we shouldn't be doing any breaks. I was doing some some training at the university earlier today, and then we did 2 sessions with a break, but that was a bit longer. So we'll just continue. Sorry about that. So if you have Tableau installed, if you are able to open up this starter workbook, if you download this from the Google Drive, it should have this Visual Analytics Exercise 1 starter. It's a packaged workbook, 8.6 megabyte. You can open up this in Tableau and it should look like this. So if you have this up and running, you can do the exercise based on the instructions that are in here. If you want me to show you or to how to start, how to get ready, I can do that as well. If you never used Tableau before, it's going to be a bit exciting. If you have used Tableau before, it should be quite okay to build this. There might be some features you haven't used before, but I think it should be okay to start with. So if you get stuck, if you have any questions, please send me a direct message or put it into the chat for everyone, because if you have get trouble or you have some questions, most likely someone else has this problem as well. Since we have 2 exercises, what I can do a follow along as well, since it seems that there are some people here that haven't used Tableau that much before. So let's do that then. I'll put this one on the side. Well, that was the solution. I'm not going to open up with the solution. I have the starter workbook over here. So we're going to build this together. So you can tag along if you like, or you can do it on your own by using these instructions. So the first thing we need to do when the workbook here is now open, I'm going to create a new worksheet. So I go down on the right-hand side over here and say, create a new worksheet. And then I'm going to add country to the worksheet. So I'm going to find country and drag it in here. Or I can, if I double click, you see that you will get a map. But the first thing we're going to build a map, so that's fine. You can drag or drop, or you can double click. So now you see 1 dot for each and every country. We have some data. So that's the first bit. Then we're going to go to this selected cases. It's a calculated field because we're going to do some interactivity where you can switch between looking at cumulative data. You're going to look at either positive cases, the people infected, versus number of deaths. So if we take the selected cases and drag this one into the marks card on size, you will see that the size changes depending on which country you are. So in total, in this time period, there was 65 million infected in the US, only 500,000 in Norway. But then again, we are not as many people in Norway as there are in the US. So that's the first step. I'm also going to add something called the selected metric header to the marks card. So selected metric header, we need to find that over here. There you go. It's over here as a dimension. I'm just going to drag this one into detail because we're going to put this on the title when we are changing. I'm going to add some parameters, and those parameters are already been built. It's a selection between adding cumulative or new versus positive cases or deaths. So if you right click on any of these, show parameter, right click on the positive cases or deaths, show parameter, those will appear on the right hand side. And you will see the change in here. If I go from new to cumulative, if I go from positive cases to deaths, you see that the sizes are changing in here as well. The selected metric heading, that was on detail. We can edit our title because now it's called sheet 4. So if I right click on my title and edit this one, I'm just going to take away the sheet name. And I'm going to insert my selected metric header. This is the calculated field that I just talked about. So if I add this one, this should change according to what I have selected on these two parameters. Now it says cumulative deaths. That's the same I've selected. If I change to new, now showing the new deaths, now it's showing the new positive cases. So now we have created this title. I forgot to add some instructions. So I'll go back to edit title. And below here, I'm going to add in the text, select a country to see more details. That we might make this a bit smaller and in italic. So basically people understand when they're in a dashboard that when they click on something in here, they basically can filter the rest of the dashboard. So this is the first sheet. We are happy with this one. We can also see that the tooltip in here, when I move around, it only shows me the selected metric header, the selected cases. But in the instructions, I would like it to look a bit more like this. I often tend to, when it's just listing the values you have selected, I find that a bit, well, boring and not very helpful sometimes. So I would like to add some more information to my tooltip and also write it and format it. So it's a bit nicer. So I'm going to take the people death count, holding my control key. If I have at least if you have a Windows computer, people death new count, people positive cases, and people, all of these 4, and drag it into the tooltip like this. So when I hover over, there's way more information, but I'm going to adjust the tooltip as well. So I'm going to go into tooltip and say, I don't need to say country colon, because everybody, when they see Norway, Brazil, or whatever, they understand that this is what we're looking at. So in here, we can spend the rest of our day, rest of the session just by formatting. So I'm not going to be doing that for now. I'm just going to get rid of these. And for now, I'm just going to keep these. First, we're looking at the deaths, and then we're looking at the positive cases. So if you see now, see Libya, you see Sweden, you see Turks and Caicos Islands. So we can do more in here. Instead of saying people positive case count, you could only say the new positive cases, for example. So everything is adjustable. This is perfect. We're just going to make sure this is something that we need to do for the background. So we're going to make sure that the date filter is working. So we need to drag this date is max into filters and say true. Okay. Because this will affect when we're looking at new data. So we're not accumulating data, we're only looking at the ones that are at a certain period of time. We can get rid of the nulls. There's some unknowns in here. So I could figure out what's wrong in here. But then again, the data has St. Martin that Tableau doesn't find, or Summer Olympics 2020 as its own country. So if we don't want to have these in there, we can filter those data away so we don't have any nulls. By default, every circle is blue, but we are looking at data that are not as positive, since we're looking at infected or dead after the COVID. So we can change this to a different color. We can select any red that are in here, or we can even select more colors to find a specific one. You can write in, well, this is the same one that I have in the exercise 15759, nice color, and make the opacity a bit so that, especially when we look at countries over here in Europe, so they're not overlapping each other as much. I'm going to add a short little border, and the view looks a bit nicer. I'm going to rename this, instead of sheet 4, to call it map. And I'm just going to stop this one. And we have built the first visualization. We're going to create 2 more. So I'm going to go to new worksheet. Please let me know if it goes too fast, if you want me to slow down, or if you're following along as we move along. So now we're going to create debts over time. So we're going to add, I'm going to make this a bit bigger, so it's and take this one away. The report date, I'm going to drag the report date into the view. And then we're going to right click and look at the exact dates. Now we're on the every day. So now we see we have the 21st of January till the 15th of February. And then we're going to look at the total or new debts over here, also a calculated field. I can show you quickly that we're based on the parameter we put in. It's either this one or it's this one. So the parameter will solve that for us. We don't have to do the calculation. We drag this into rows, and we'll see that the data is going up and down quite a lot over time. But since it's so detailed now, it's 726 dates in here. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to first go to color and select that same red color, so it's matching the other one. Make the opacity around 60%. And then I'm going to change this not to a line chart that it's default, but to an area chart. So it's basically filling everything in the view in here. And now, obviously, you can do a lot of changes and changes and formatting. We can get rid of the axis titles in here, the total new debts. So we can go in here, edit the axis. We still like to have the numbers, but you can get rid of this title. You'll see why afterwards. So just get rid of the title, and also the report date. We understand that we're looking at dates because that will be a part of a dashboard, so we can get rid of the report date as well. Then we also get rid of some chart junk. We have more room available for our visualization. So now we're done with the first one. Debts over time. We rename this from sheet 5 or whatever it's called in your Tableau version to debts over time. Now we're going to build a similar one that are looking at the positive over time. So we can actually do it similar, create a new sheet, rebuild, do the same thing, because it's going to be more or less the same, but we're looking at the new and positive cases. So we can also do a shortcut if we are really fancy about it. We can right click on this one and duplicate the debts over time. So we can do that now. So this is exactly the same as the previous one. But if we are now, instead of looking at the total or new debts, we find the total or new positive cases. We drag this one up here, and we are replacing the debts with positive cases. And you see that hopefully this one is changing. If you put it next to it like this, you will have two area charts. Then you can just get rid of the one with the debts. But then you need to adjust and do some other changes. So the best thing is just to put this on top of that green pill, replace it. We need to get rid of that title. And obviously this one is not debts over time, but positive cases or positive over time. Get rid of the 2. So now we have 2 sheets plus a map that we can add into our dashboard. So if I now scroll back a bit into my workbook, I have already created this COVID dashboard in here. So this is where we're going to add all the different data. I'm just going to quickly do this. My son is going to soccer practice in the hailstorm. I'm luckily not going to be there today. I'm going to go to my daughter's handball practice indoors because I'm reasonable and clever. So this is the dashboard. It's empty for now. We have different type of sheets in here, the ones that we just built, the map, and a couple of ones that are pre-built from before. So we're not going to use those in the dashboard. Those are for some other stuff. So we're going to now do something that I really like to do when I'm building dashboards. I'm planning ahead. Normally, when I build a dashboard, before I do it, I always get a pen and paper and I do like this, and I say I'm going to have a title over here. I'm going to have some filters over here. I might going to have a map over there, and then in a container on this side, I'm going to put in my two different sheets, the two area charts over here, and then when I'm doing some interactions with my parameters, it's going to affect all of these. So I normally always draw it on a pen and paper before I start dragging and dropping in Tableau. But I have already done this now then. So I'm going to drag in a container. So this container, we drag this into the view. At the moment, that's just a placeholder where we're going to put our data. So inside of this container, we're going to drag our map. Now we have the map inside our dashboard. You see that it popping up these parameters that we added. So it's interactive. But I'm going to adjust these a bit. But before I do this, you see that now I have, if I select the map and double click on it, we have this container where we have the map. But since it's horizontal, on the side of this, I'm going to have those two area charts as well. So I'm going to add in a new container, a new, I think I've said horizontal container. Well, let's see. Oh, sorry. It should be a vertical container because we're going to put those two on top of each other. So vertical container, make sure that it ends up on the right-hand side. It's a bit difficult since I haven't scrolled over. I'm just going to do this. Drag in a vertical container inside of this container. If I do it over there, it's a new container. Over there, you see that it's grayed out in the background, and this one turns purple. So this container takes up a lot of space at the moment. We can adjust it a bit, drag this one a bit to the right. So inside this container, I'm going to put my deaths over time, and I'm going to put in my positive over time. If I double click on this, you see that the purple one is selected. So these two are inside of the same container. And the reason why I'm using containers is because if I click on this very small triangle, I can distribute my contents evenly. So they get 50% each. And also I can move them along, move them inside my dashboard, and they are connected to each other. So this is good. We're happy with the data or the dashboard. We might do this one a bit more to the right, so the map takes up a bit more space. And then instead of having all this gray area, the empty gray area over here, and we have the parameters, I'm going to adjust and move these a bit. Just going to go a bit further down. Now we've added these two. So those two parameters, if they are not added, we can add them afterwards. So if they're missing, we can click on the map and this triangle and add those two parameters. But since they are checked off, for me at least, hopefully for you as well, they are there. And then I've already made a global title, a dashboard or a sheet, but basically just contains the title. So let's go back to our dashboard, and we take this global title and drag it into the view, make sure it's all the way on the top. So you see that it's not inside any container, but it's just all the way on the top. Takes quite a lot of space, so make it a lot smaller. It's nice with a title, but it doesn't take. You don't need to have it have it more than 50%. This global title name, we don't need this one, so we can hide our title, but we keep the text in here. Maybe make it a bit smaller again. We see that we have data from January 21st to January 15, 2022. We still have those parameters over here, so I'm going to move these ones. First, I'm going to get rid of this size legend. Just click on the X. Then I can select these parameters. If I select the first one, sorry, this one, it's now gray because this is just selecting the parameter. If I double click, it's selecting the entire container. And this container, I can drag it and move it around, but I want to make it floating. So if I click on the triangle, it can float around in the view. In this case, I would like it floating because I would like to put it in the top over here, so that I have my two different parameters. Make sure that I also have make sure that I get this text a bit nicer. If I manage to change the size, or maybe for now it doesn't, it didn't work, does it? No, why doesn't it? Maybe I may need to make it a bit smaller. I would have loved to have all the text in here, but then there you go, a bit higher. So I have the cumulative and new, and I have the positive. And we see that everything, when this one is changing, it's changing at the moment, at least in this one, not in these two. I'm going to fix that as well. So now the dashboard looks like this. We have the parameters. We can move it a bit higher up so it doesn't overlap this one. We have the same color on everything. Let's see, why does this not work at the moment for the rest of them? Let me go back to this sheet. I'm just going to double check something. If I have forgotten something, total or new positive cases, that should affect by that parameter. So why didn't it change? That's a bit strange. Always fun when you're doing this live and something is not changing. Let's try again. Yeah, there you go. It's only connected to the cumulative or new. So you see that it was not this positive deaths or cases. It's only affecting this one. The new or cumulative is affecting all of them. So now we have an interactive dashboard where it says click a country to see more details. For now, you see that this one doesn't affect these two. So we're missing one thing now in the end of our what is it called? The instructions. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well, something called a dashboard action. So we'll make sure that whenever I do something in the map, it's going to affect these two. So I can go to my dashboard menu. I can go to actions, and there's no actions at the moment. So I'm going to add a filter action. So whenever I filter something on the map, it's going to filter the ones to the right-hand side. Filter action, call it filter from the map. It's always nice to have some names, because if you have many actions, you go back and you want to edit or change it later on. You have forgotten, you have filter 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't know which one it is. So it's going to filter from my COVID dashboard and only from the map. So whenever I do something in my map, I select the map, I click on the map, I choose select, and then I'm going to filter not the title, not the map, but these two, deaths over time and positive over time, those two area charts. When I'm done selecting Norway or anything else, it's going to go back and show everything, show all my values. So this is what we're changing. Click only map over here, select only maps, and over here, deaths and positive over time. When is my action happening? It's when I select something, and when I'm clearing the selection, when I haven't selected anything, I'm going to show all values. I say, okay, okay. Let's see now if I click on Norway or I click on Iceland, we see that it's changing. If I select many countries, it's also interactive that way. So now we have created an interactive dashboard where there's some user guide. There should be some, or should be, there is some the same color used in everything. So when we're looking at the same thing, it's we have the information about the dates and everything over here, and we have this parameter where we can switch between what we're looking at and get some interaction as well. So this is the the workflow. Connect to data, do your analysis, and then if you're happy with this one, I can click this presentation mode. This is how it would look like if you publish this to Tableau Public or to a Tableau server or somewhere, or share it with your colleagues or internally or externally. The same thing with the interactions. The same thing goes with these selections and so on. So depending on if you've used Tableau before, this was perhaps, if you haven't used it before, then there was a lot of new stuff, obviously. If you have used it before, some of these techniques, some of this might be something that you've done before, something you have seen before or haven't seen before. At least you have now got some instructions on how to do this. I see that we have 15 more minutes to go. I did also publish on that Google Disk one more exercise. We won't be able to, oh, yeah, when I say Google, suddenly my Google Google speaker was talking to me. Sorry about that. But there is one more visual analytics exercise starter workbook that has some Spotify data in it. So in here, it's the idea to build a dashboard to tell a story. You see that there's a lot of instructions in here. So my timing is not good enough for us to be able to do that now for those 15 minutes. This is how it looks like in the end. I can even open up the finished one. So you should have that one available. If you download it, see that it's interactive. And this is not necessarily the only way to build it, obviously, because that's the whole beauty of building something in a tool like this. With if one person do it or 50 people do it, everybody makes their own version of it. But you see one thing, that you see the green color, that's the Spotify color, because Spotify has a green logo, black background. So when you build something, the idea is to build something that is also fitting with the theme that you're building. So this one is showing some KPIs, unique artists. This is the Global 200 in April to October 2021. Unique tracks, see the number of streams, see that Olivia Rodrigo was the top streamed artist with over 4 billion streams. Doja Cat and Måneskin, who won the Eurovision a couple of years ago. That's why they're up here, I guess. And then we have the top artist by songs, which is a word cloud. So this will be for you to do on your own own time afterwards. You have the instructions, you have the starter workbook, you have the solution that you can have a look at. So I'm not going to go into detail on how to build this for now, but I've shown it to you, so you know how to, or know how it should look like in the end. I mentioned Tableau Public earlier as well, and Tableau Public is the biggest collection of dashboards in the world. I think there's several million dashboards that are in here. Sorry. Alex has used this, or not him, well, he's probably used it as well, but for the DataViz Award, for the people who build stuff in Tableau, they published it on Tableau Public, so it's available for people to see, but also to download. So you don't have to have a user, you don't need to sign in, but the benefits of having a user in here is that if you find something that you really like, maybe the biggest movie franchise, you can favorite this one. I can do that now. I obviously can go inside into Tableau Public to have a look at it. If you even have Tableau Desktop installed, you can click on this download button and you can download the entire workbook. You can see all the techniques and features that have been used to build it. You can see the underlying data, and you can re-engineer or change it with your own data and build something similar. And if you have your own profile, you can add stuff in there. Whenever you build something, you can have it available for people externally to have a look at it if you like. You can also, as you see on the right hand side, you can build stuff that is hidden that you can only share, or people can have access if they have that particular link. So my family, when we're playing a dice game called Decathlon, I use a Google Sheet where I enter all the results, and then it's updated, and you can look at who is have the best scores, the high scores, the world records. And my name is Tore, and I have 5 of the high scores. So maybe that's why I love to have data in here, so I can see that I'm way better than my brother and my sister and my kids. Other things you can do with this profile is the favorites I mentioned. If you find a favorite, you will find you'll find them in here, all the things that you really like, and can go back and forth and have a look at them. If you find somebody that you really like that are building a lot of cool stuff, you can make them your favorites, or you can follow them, and then you can go into Kevin's and see all the things he have done in here. Download, re-engineer, look at it. So I suggest that you get a profile in here. You don't have to publish and share stuff, but you can get your own favorites if you like. If you would like to learn Tableau, if you like to learn visual analytics, Tableau also has the projects. There's a lot of community projects in Tableau where you can, if I'm just going to find this quickly now and put this in the community and projects. I'll put that in the chat as well. This is a genius way of, for example, if you follow Makeover Monday, every Monday there's a new data set. You can then participate, publish it on Tableau Public, and you can get feedback from the people who are hosting these, and they have guest people coming into, or guest experts that give you feedback on your visualizations and techniques and everything that you've done, so that you can improve, make better stuff next time, and so on. There's Workout Wednesday. If you like sports, there's Sports with Sunday, and so on. So there's a lot of these that you can participate on. Obviously, if you're using Tableau, that's perfect. If you use, I know that at least Makeover Monday now also accepts Power BI. If you build stuff in there, and you still get the feedback on the visual analytics and the visual best practice. So that's a great way of learning to be a better developer when it comes to visual analytics. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to the original presentation and click on this one, because now we have roughly 5 minutes to go. So we'll open that up, Alex, to if there's any questions, any comments, any feedback, any whatever you like. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you for this great workshop, and not even workshop, but as for me, it's a perfect combination of lecture, best practice, and training.
Yeah, nice to combine it a bit as well. Not just listening to somebody talk in 1.5 hours and don't get any practical either hands-on or training tips.
Yes, and sometimes I forget that this theory part is so important, and I start directly follow me, press this button, and finally discover that students don't understand why they do this, and that's very great that you pay attention to the best practices, and it always needed to remind twice, 10 times about these basic principles, which really works. And it's
Yeah, I agree. It's very easy to, when you've been working with a tool or you're working with this visual analytics or building dashboards for ages or many years, it's so easy to just do it and don't explain why, or why do we do it, or why shouldn't we do it this way, or and also try to stop a bit in between and ask and also or ask, do you understand why we're doing this? Do you understand why we're using this type of data? Or when you have this data, why should we use this type of visualization? Why can't we just create exploding pie charts all over the place? Why do we use a bar chart? Why do we use a scatter plot? And I'm still learning, and I'm still going to be learning this as I continue building dashboards and building visualizations.
Yeah, and I have not even advice, but suggestion to our participants, our students. Don't hesitate to ask why. Even authoritative person teaches you or says, do this way. Don't hesitate. Question why is very important.
Yeah, and if you have that question, there's most likely 5 other people that have the same questions, and if they don't dare ask it, and you don't dare ask the question, you won't get an answer either. So better be tough enough to ask that question so that you and the other people will get an answer. And if you don't understand because it's explained in a different way, then you can ask why, or can you please explain this differently with other words, with other examples. That's also a great way of learning and getting the insight that you're looking for.
Okay, so thank you very much again. Give for all of us best practice of learning, of teaching. Let's launch our poll, rate your workshop, and we will have next 15 minutes break before the next workshop by Veronica. How to communicate your ideas better, simple step-by-step rules for improving visualizations. And we have even 3 minutes of our free time.
Yeah, we're just going to answer one. There was one question that came in. How flexibly can we add custom visuals in Tableau? I'm still sharing my screen, so I'm not going to build anything, but the best way of figuring out what you actually can build in Tableau and how flexible it is go to Tableau Public and look at what people have been building in there. I mean, there's more or less no limitations to what you can build. Not everything is straightforward. Some of it you can use that show me functionality that I mentioned, but there's so much stuff you can do. So it's kind of there's no limitations. And why should you use, or why Tableau against Power BI?
Oh, my favorite question for the next. So we will continue our discussion till the midnight.
Yeah, it depends. That's the best answer. I'm a Tableau guy, so I would say always Tableau is better. But no, to be honest, Tableau and Power BI are quite similar products. Both of them are in the Magic Quadrant, leader quadrant from Gartner. The best thing, or if you're gonna decide which one you're going to use, or choose or buy, I recommend to test both of them to see how you actually work with them, not just look at dashboards built with Power BI and or Tableau and say, oh, this one looks much nicer than this one. Do a proper hands-on test from connecting, fixing your data to build something, because it's a bit different ways of doing that in Tableau versus Power BI. Power BI might be a bit easier to start using, lower threshold. Tableau, fairly easy as well. There's some things that you can do in Tableau by right-clicking to do a lot of calculations without doing coding. In Power BI, you might do some DAX coding. So I've seen a lot of clients that use both Power BI for the more simpler repetitive tasks, the simple reports, and then Tableau for the more advanced users. So that's the short answer from my side, even though I'm favoriting Tableau, but I also have said to customers, for your use case, Power BI is better, go with that, and be sad for the rest of your life.
I
just kidding.
have an answer. As a representative of Power BI community, I have a reason why Tableau versus Power BI. Not because of any technical features, but because of its gallery and its community. Because really, we have here we have a lot of inspiring examples of advanced visuals. But to compare with Tableau, Microsoft Gallery is poor, and my projects in the Microsoft Data Storage Gallery are at the first place, not because they are best, because there is no competition in the Microsoft Power BI community. And what I'm doing, I'm trying to engage people who work with Power BI to use Tableau best practices and go to Tableau gallery and get the inspiration. And really, for advanced visualization, Microsoft doesn't have such significant community and so many examples.
Thank you. Let's see, was there, can we have anything to analyze which visual is taking how much time? How can we organize the visual in Tableau? Which visual will come first? If you in Tableau, you can create different sheets with different type of visualizations, and then you put it into a dashboard where you add all that interactivity and stuff. So which one comes first or last, that's up to you, basically, if I understand the question correctly. Which practice recommendation for someone who is a beginner in data visualization or in data wanting to practice with Tableau? On the Tableau webpage, there's several free videos. Join any Tableau user group. Most of them are virtual or hybrid, at least. There's a lot of great stuff to learn from there, but also be part of those Tableau community projects. Then you have Tableau. You can use Tableau Public, that's free. So you don't have to purchase or have any license. You have a Tableau Public for free, and then you will get feedback as well. So there's a lot of people who are today Tableau visionaries that are ambassadors, that are data designers that started with those community projects. Order of execution. Is that there's something called order of operations in Tableau. So what happens first and last, but I'm not sure what you mean by order of execution.
Me too.
So if you can rephrase the question, then, or does it have anything to do with the data execution, if it's live or is in memory or stuff like that, or is it something else? So that was for you, Dipti, if you have anything, or if you can rephrase it. I put in some book recommendation. There was a question about that as well. Don't have any like particular Tableau books. I'm more leaning over to the ones that are about data visualizations or in general. So everything that I talked about today, or at least in the first part, that is not Tableau related per se. It's data visualization or visual best practice that could be used if you're using Power BI or Click or Looker or anything else. There, I mean, there's like 300 tools on the market that are similar to Tableau and Power BI, but those two are the biggest ones and in the leader quadrant. But you only have 10 minutes for the next session, so I guess we should wrap it up. If you would like to have a break as well, Alex, what do you think?
I think that yes, we may finish and make our 10-minute break. So thank you again.
Yeah, please follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn and anywhere. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. The Tableau community is excellent in helping and guiding people.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a great weekend and the rest of the seminar today.
Thank you.